Welcome everyone to another pixelated video. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan. So, now it's beginning, of the December, so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and just have a great month for those who aren't celebrating. So for this month, I decided since the New Year's about to be upon us, and I very well get lazy at a lot of things, figured the easiest thing to do is do top 10s throughout the entire month. And what better yet to start off my top 10 list with top 10 indie books that I've read. And I've read a lot of books. I mean indie books in particular. I do try to search out for some that I find really good or complete at least. But either way, there's a lot on here that I haven't that aren't complete stories, or they're in the midst of their middle of the story, or they just have one book out. There are a lot of those, of course. But anyway, I just want to make it very simple that, this is my top 10, my opinions for the top 10 indie books that I have read thus far and how much I like them. And, yeah, that's about it right there. So, with that being said, without further ado, let's start these views. Number 10. Divinitive is in my top 10. This is where we're at. So this series has 2 books so far, and what I like about it a lot with the series is that there is a lot of world building in this place. So it's almost like a high fantasy stories where it does take place in a completely different world, and it has its own quote unquote magic system. But the magic system is more like superhero. Think like My Hero Academia or just Marvel DC, if that's easier to understand. And with that being said, I absolutely think it's something kind of unique in this area. Now, the first book was a little bit of a trouble for me, but what kind of happened in the second book definitely kind of changed all that. The second book really brought out the characters in that. And I absolutely love the characters, the dynamics, the growth that they went on into the second book. It was nothing but filler, technically. That's the crazy part. The book that took place after Definitive 1 was only a filler in essence, because the main plot of the story was not even talked about, or it was, but not that much. And though I would be bugged with that normally, I actually found this really engaging, and I found these characters growing and trying to get better for themselves for the upcoming conflict so much enjoyable. And I didn't think I would, but I really found it really enjoyable, and the world that they live in is something I think is kind of fun. It's not the most expansive world I've ever seen. I have seen other ones and obviously more traditional publishing one, but even with that being said, I really did enjoy with the characters that blew up from this point on. It really is something I'm looking forward to, and this is what sits in my top 10 right now. So for our next one up is number 9. Of Divine Gods is what the series is named. Is not me. It's not the target audience. Who I am and what I read is not for me. Alright? But this was actually really good. So basically this book series is a spicy romance kind of thing, alright? And I usually kind of go, that's not my thing, because that's not what I'm looking for in my stories. I want escapism, I want fun, I want adventure, blah, blah, blah. But the way the author marketed her book, it made me go, So she was abused by the religion that worshipped these gods, and then she became so strong, not only to destroy the people who worship these gods and kill the gods, that allowed this violence to happen. Okay, I'm in. So, with that premise alone, I was just like, man, that's actually kind of cool, I ain't gonna lie. And it honestly, as much as I didn't think it would actually extend the action scenes, it really did. It was actually a lot of fun to see some of this go down. And book 2, it does repeat a lot of what the first book did. However, it does so much better because of the climax between the both light and the dark that happens in the end, and I really did enjoy that. So even though, like, yeah, there's a lot of spice, and I'm like, I can care less for it. That, that's just me. That's just because I don't look for stuff like this. But for what it was in the end and how it all came together is really good. There's a prequel to this. I might check it out. I haven't decided yet. But this series right here, I honestly was not expecting to like, but it really did like it after I read through it. So I recommended it for those who likes the spice. All right, it's cool. So that's number 9. So next, number 8. I have not done a review for this series yet. I was waiting for the last book to come out, and it is. However, I'm currently reading another series right now, which I'm about to finish. So at the time of recording, I haven't finished yet, but that would probably be one of my first reviews at the beginning of the year. Probably. We'll see. Anyway, Meta is a superhero book. Now, when I think superheroes, I think, comic books, with Spider-Man, Spawn, Batman, and all this stuff, colorful pages and stuff like that. I would never consider that meta or superheroes just in general would work on just pages, regular old pages. I was wrong, apparently. And that's the thing, because that's a cool thing, I guess, I didn't expect to like it. And here's the fun thing, too. This was on Wattpad. This Meta was on Wattpad. I still have the book on Wattpad. It's still sitting there in my little vault of books I have there. And, well, of course you can't read it now because it's deleted, because, probably for Amazon purposes or something like that. I'm not too sure. Point is, though, Meta was a book I did not expect to like because I didn't think superheroes would work. But I was curious about it, and I gave it a shot, and I was like, okay, this is pretty great, I ain't gonna lie. And it was. I really did enjoy the book so much. It has a lot of charm. It has so much fun. I talked to some people who talk about what superhero books should you read first. A lot of people would say Second Sons, I think, was one of them. And there was another one I can't remember off the top of my head. But when I did bring this up, some people say it's probably not the best to start off with. Now, I did argue for the charm and the things that it brought to the table. And people agree. It's something that is something unique to the hero thing. But it's not the best. Which is okay with me, because I did enjoy it, and the ending is now official, and I'm going to read that one and then do a review, obviously. I can't wait to get into that one, so just be on the lookout next year for that. So, that is number 8. Let's get started with number 7. Now, this one is a true bias. Not only have I written a YA ghost-like story, I have always been looking for a YA ghost story. And what I mean by that is, like the fun adventures of like certain elements of ghosts like being used. Think like Danny Phantom or something like that. But typically you get your vampires, your werewolves, your wizards and stuff like that. So people get tied onto that where they do magic stuff or just using those vampire abilities or whatever abilities they have due to those cryptids and stuff like that. This one, I've always looked for something like this but could never find it, and I was so happy to finally find something I was looking for that uses ghost or spiritual like energy stuff things, just something like that on that table. And I found one, and it was amazing. Though it's not a 5 out of 5 stars, so then that's why I say it's a bias, because it's something I've always looked for. Even though I can't compare that the best story, even for the ones on 10, compared to like 10, 9, 8, or whatever I have here. But I loved it because it's something I've always wanted, and the fact that I have something like this, and the third book's coming out later, I'm also just ecstatic for it. So, A Grim Awakening is so much fun to me that even though it may not be the best that I've read, by technical standards, it is the things I have been looking for, and I'm very happy to like it. And I'm happy that it sits here at number 7. So, that being said, for the next number 6. So, this too was meant to be in October as well. So yeah, sorry about that. So that review will come back later. Anyway, the story right here for when Lambert comes to town, the stranger or whatever, it's so cool. I like it. It's a children mid-grade, Goosebumps tale. And I haven't read Goosebumps, since I was a kid, But I saw this right here and it got me interested. And I looked at it. I was like, I want to check you out. I want to see it. I love the cover art and I was like, this looks fun. And here, I'm happy to say, it is a lot of fun. I had a blast with this story. And even though there's some conveyance, because children stuff, I really did enjoy the fun of the story. There's some little creepy things here and there, but then again, I've read a lot of creepypastas back in my middle school days and still to today. Does it compare? No, but it's still good, and I absolutely love it. And the fact that this guy's still continuing the story around this universe of creepy things happening in the world, just like Goosebumps does, I'm happy to be along. It was a well-crafted book, and I have nothing really negative to say other than some conveyance that happened here and there in the story, but it was a quick read, it was a fun read, and there's an audiobook coming out later this year, or maybe this year, maybe next year, and I'm looking forward to that, and I cannot wait to see that one come through, and because I love my audios, what can I say? So, that sits comfortably at number 6. Now for our next one, number 5. I absolutely adore this story. This is just a fun, just little story that I fell in love with the moment I read it for the first time. And it's something I love. And as a book series, it's so good. Like right now, even though technically it's just the beginning half of Lily Madwhip, the story gets better, I know. And I'm so excited for it to get a much bigger audience and having a physical copy of it. And I always said I wanted one. I said it like when I was reading it, listening to Mr. Creepypasta on the channel. I was just begging that there's some kind of physical copy of this so I could have, because it's well worth it. And now there is. The story itself is so great, and where I'm at in the story right now, which is on Mr. Creepypasta's channel, I'm at a little midpoint, and I'm like, I kind of want to know more, and I want them to figure it out more. But understand, they got a schedule thing, so that's Mr. Creepypasta stuff. Anyways, the story, yes, love it, amazing, can't wait. I want more, and I can't wait to get more. I can't wait to get my hands on more of this, and I can't wait for more people just to know about it. I had my mom read this book. My mom loved this book. She thought it was amazing, and that's what I said. This book is amazing. So that means the books after this are just as amazing, or if not greater than. Of course, it's my opinion, but that's just for me to say. So, with that, with Lily Madwhip sitting at a comfortable number 5, what's the next guy? Number 4. Same thing with the last book. I adore this story. I love this story. This story is amazing. And there's only 2 books out right now, but it's so good. And here's the thing, it reminds me of the number 2 spot here, which only has 1 book in its series, but the book itself has some issues, like some people have pointed out on there. Like people say it's almost the Outlands because they get to the end of at the end of the story and then they experience it afterwards. For me, I defend that because unlike other stories, for example, the stories I've read, The Curse of the Spider King, or the 11 Thumps in the first book, they try to get to the magical place at the end. So the place that they were talking about, we don't get to experience and save until the end of the book, technically. That kind of trope is kind of sucky, if you think about it. For me, I like this one. It does technically the same thing, but it gets us a different perspective that we don't want to go there. We don't want to be there. We do not want to end up in the Outlands, and then we end up in the Outlands. I absolutely love it, and it's something that I think it's an amazing story. And even though it may not be the top one here, because after everything I'm going to say, I do love this character, the main character specifically in this one, because he's so different. Like, he loves his friends so much. When it comes to the overall population, he is more about his friends than he is everyone else. And it's such a unique trait you don't see often in MCs, but it's something I'm excited to see how far that can be stretched. whenever that third book comes out, I'm looking forward to see how that friendship of his just gets stretched and how many people he's willing to sacrifice just in the name of his friends. That I feel is going to be a great dynamic, and I cannot wait for the next book to see if they expand on it. So, that resting comfortably on number 4, our next book is number 3. I cannot explain to everyone how much I just love Renegade Star. And I know it's such a weird just book that has so many ideas from other sci-fi and just blah blah. I love it. It's a space adventure I want to go on. And here's the thing, I know there's gonna be people mad at me about not putting other sci-fi books I've read that should be above this. But I had so much fun. I had so much just laughs in this series that how am I gonna sit there and just put another book on this? This is so much fun, and it's a series that I absolutely love, and it's a world that I absolutely love. Now, have I checked out everything that the world has to offer? No. Because I know that's an undertaking, and if Jeremy Robinson showed me anything, that is an undertaking that only a few want to take on. Me, not necessarily. I love the world, I love space, and I love the way J.N. Chaney loves to write. It's a fun way to write, and though I would love to see more of the world, I'm gonna keep the world just to myself where the adventures where Jace Hughes took me on, and it was fun, and I loved it, and the ending was sweet. So even though I could always explore the rest of the galaxy with other characters, I'm very happy with how this story ended, and I'm very happy with the overall story, that how it was. So anyway, I love the story. I recommend it absolutely 100% of the time. It is such a fun story. Just read it. Just check out the series. Just read it. I love it. It's so good. It's so fun. Oh my god. Anyway, time for our next one. Number 2. This is the book that started it all for me. This is the world that made me realize that all fantasy worlds are not Lord of the Rings. This is the story that showed me that there is so much more to worlds than anything else. There's much more to a book, and I love it. This book is a very unique thing to me, and it hits me really hard in my heart that it opened my eyes to so much to the world of reading, and I absolutely adore this book because of that. I never realized there was so much more. I thought all fantasy books were just Lord of the Rings. That's all I believed. I truly believed anything that was fantasy was just a Lord of the Rings kind of thing. And I probably should have just checked out more books at that point, but that doesn't defeat the purpose of this. This story is so good. I love it. I'm finding new things, little details I didn't catch in my first few reads of this story, and that's really good, and I love that. There's things being hinted at in the background that you don't think about when you're reading, but it's there, and it's so detailed in the world that you don't realize that's happening unless you look deeper in the pages, and it's so much fun. The magic system is something I haven't seen in any other fantasy, and this is me reading now officially, and I still haven't yet experienced something like it. Outlands feels like this story, but obviously sci-fi edition, but Levie sits on its own throne, and the fact that when there's a second book that comes out, I am on there. I am waiting for it. I want it so bad. And this will always be the special book to me because of it just made me feel so good about it. And it made me understand that there is more to the world of books. And it made me fall in love with a world that I want more of. And I cannot wait for more of this book to be there. It's taking a while, I think it's been out for a year or two now, and it's taking its sweet time. But I'm excited for it, and I absolutely will always tell people, please read the book. I know the cover is amateurish, but my god, it looks great. It fits with the story for me, and I'm telling you, read Levie. It is a great story. Please read Levie. Alright, time to gush about our last book. Number 1. This is what I meant by when Levie showed me more than anything to fantasy. This was a story that I had this childlike wonder in the first book, and it just made me just love the world of the Frith Chronicles more. And I said it in my review, I don't like the name Frith Chronicles or Frith Guild Chronicles. Should be called Arcanist Chronicles if anything else, but that's besides my point right there. It's the fact that I fell in love with this series so faithfully, and I really just got engrossed into the world, and I just wanted more. And I love the series, and the series is something that just means a lot to me now that I've read through it all, and how much it's great, it's fun, and it's just something I never experienced ever. You know, I compare this to Harry Potter. When I was a kid watching Harry Potter, there was this magic to it, like not just like the magic of the world or anything like that, but magic of, you know, discovery, magic of everything that just made sense, you know? It was something that was just uniquely different about Harry Potter that made me love it. And for this one right here, even though it wasn't the movie, and I'm not a child anymore, I can say I felt the same thing when it comes to reading the first book. It may not be the most expansive story I've ever read ever, but it does a fun job with it. Simple things of fighting plague-ridden creatures and just bonding with those creatures and gaining their powers, and they fight by your side, is some of the best things I can think about it. Though I will agree, though, like when they get to the god part of things, I do kind of get a little bored by it, or not bored, just kind of underwhelmed, I guess you could say. But that doesn't take away from its overall presentation and just story overall. And even though I haven't read the sequel series of it yet, I am planning to, but maybe not right now. But with that being said, though, I do gotta say, if it wasn't for Levie, I probably would never check this series out. So I thank Levie for showing me there is more to the world, and for the Frith Guild Chronicles to showing me that there are childlike wonders to be found in this world still. And it's something I will never forget. And I'm getting the physical books. I know she changed the covers, and I don't want the new covers. I want the old covers, so I gotta get on that before she changes it all. Okay, cool. Well, with that, as I showed you guys, this is my top 10 video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have a top 10 indie books that you guys want to show in the comments, go right ahead. And remember, this is just my opinion, so none of these are, you know, like factual, like you said, you have to agree. These are just my opinions, the same thing to you. So, thank you guys all for watching, and I hope y'all have a great day. Hi, I want to thank you guys all for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to check all these books out, I will link them down below. Also, did you know I too am an author? That's right. I wrote Unborn Ghosts, a YA paranormal adventure. If you're interested in stuff like that, well then I have it also linked down below. And as always, if you're looking for any other books related things in my pixelated person, it's all in here. So thank you guys all so much, and I hope you all have a great day.